Welcome back to the Virtually Viking Show. I'm your host, Sunshine Neely with Recruitment, and today we're talking to the Florida School of the Arts Department to learn more about their upcoming show. We have Emily, Dean of Florida School of the Arts, and
Hi.
we also have Tiffany, Costume Design and Tech Professor, and Ryan is the director of this show as well as the acting instructor. So glad to have you guys here with us today. And before we get started, I do want to get to know you a little bit better. So we'll ask some random questions about where you're from and what you've been up to, things like that. So we'll start with Dean Schaefer. So where you are from? Are you from Florida?
I grew up in Jacksonville, actually, not too far north from here in Palatka, but I went to undergrad at the University of Central Florida and got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Theater Design and Technology, and then went on to get my Master's of Fine Arts from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Go Vols.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Now, how long have you been here at SJR State or at Florida School of the Arts?
Well, so this is actually my 14th year, which is
Oh,
it's surprising to me to say. I never thought that I would uh, be here for that long or just in any place for that long, just given the nature of theater and design and freelancing. But I started here in 2010 and fell in love with the place. I love the mission of the school. I love the students and the work that our faculty uh, do with the students in their 2 years here. I think it's really incredible. So all of those things kept me around.
awesome, awesome. I didn't I'm learning stuff today. I didn't even realize that you were here for 14 years.
I know. So I started as a costume design and technology instructor in
Oh,
2010 and transitioned into the role of Dean of Florida School of the Arts at St. John's River State College 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I think.
awesome.
So this is my second year. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Now, Ryan, let's where are you from? Are you from Florida?
Yes, I'm originally from down south. I grew up in Coral Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Got my undergrad at Florida Atlantic. I got a BFA in theater performance, which is kind of a combination of acting and directing, and a little bit of MT. And then I went to grad school at the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, and I got my MFA in theater performance as well. Before I did a little bit of like traveling and working before coming back to Florida to join Flow Arts last year.
Oh, wow, wow. So you've been with us for 1 year
Yes, this is
or a little?
yeah, this is my second year, my third Flow Arts production.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Now, it's a big change or a big culture difference growing up South Florida and then I don't know if you live in Palaca or living in this area. Is
Mhm.
it like a big culture difference?
Um, I mean, definitely from like Boca and the
Yeah.
South Florida area for sure. But it's not that big of a difference from Mississippi,
Oh,
which is where
yeah.
I went to grad school. It's not that big of a difference. And then my first like two collegiate like teaching jobs, one was in Kansas and the most recent was in Missouri. So
Oh,
I was very used to the kind of life and like the small town life. The town in Missouri that I came from only had like 20,000 people.
oh,
And now
wow.
we live in Palm Coast, and a little over 100,000 people that we live with is like the most my wife has ever lived with. And I think it's about as big as she wants to live with.
Right. Now, growing up, I do have another question for you. Growing up as a kid, have you always been interested in acting and different things like that? Or when did that spark, when did you get that spark to do acting?
So it's actually kind of a funny story. It's one of those classic like I played sports and then I got hurt and then I had to do something else. So
Oh.
I did not saying I was ever going to be a professional athlete. not at 5'5", but that's okay. Um, but my mom was a teacher at a school in Parkland, and I was supposed to go to Coral Glades, but then my mom wanted me to go to Stoneman Douglas because it was a
Mhm.
better school. So she has the right as a teacher to pull me into Stoneman Douglas, but she pulled me in too late, and I wanted to do TV production because that sounded more interesting to me, but it was
Right.
filled. So they shoved me into drama one. Uh, and they were like, they're like, it counts as your credit and like you'll get through it. And then I met the drama teacher there. Her name's Melody Hertzfeld. She's still one of my mentors today. But she asked me if I would be willing to push a set piece on during How to Succeed in Business. And now here I am. I never really left since then. Um, I just felt that it gave, and the same reason why I teach, I feel like it gives our students a chance to belong to a community where everybody can be who they are.
Right.
Um, and once I kind of got into that mindset, it was not really something I wanted to leave. So I kind of am more focused on acting and directing more so than like the tech side.
Definitely. Awesome. Awesome. Now, Tiffany, you are next. Now, where are you from? Are you from Florida?
I'm from
Or
Florida. I'm actually from Palaca. I yield from here. So
what?
I come from here.
Me too, girl. That's
Yeah.
my girl.
I went to
Yay.
Palaca High School.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to
So
share what year you graduated?
in 2020, when I graduated from, no, it was 2006. I know what I'm
2006?
about. Yeah.
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
So I'm from
And
here, and
so,
actually, the first show I ever saw, because I'm from Palaca, and I went on a field trip, I think in first or second grade, to a show, and it was at our theater here. It was like The King and I think. So it was like the first time I saw a theatrical production, and I was like, "Whoa, I got to do this! I got to figure this out."
yeah.
So I knew from a very young age what I was gonna do back in
Oh,
the day.
that's pretty cool. So you graduated from PHS, and then what journey did you take to get here?
Well, I went to SJR for 1 year and I took I remember I was in a macroeconomics class and I was like, whew, I was like, I don't know about this. And I walked out and it was actually a flyer I saw designed by Kitty Clark, who used to work at Florida School of the Arts.
Yeah.
Um, she made it to recruit students to come to Flow Arts. And I was like, I want to go there and do that. So I went and switched to Flow Arts and actually got my AA degree from here first. And then I went to the University of Florida and got my BFA, and then I went to the University of Georgia as a huge trader, and got my master's degree from there. So my grandma was like real excited about that.
Yeah, we'll forgive you this time.
Yeah, just one time.
Oh, that is awesome. Awesome. So, we will now get into what we came for today. We'll talk about the show. And I'm going to ask Dean Schaefer if you would tell us the name of the show and the dates that the show will be airing.
Absolutely. So, our first production for this fall semester is Eurydice by Sarah Rule. This is a retelling of the classic Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Um, our production this go around is going to be performed at the Thrasher Horn Studio Theater. So that's up on the Orange Park campus of St. John's River State College. It opens Friday evening, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. That will also be our performance with ASL interpreters. So if you have someone who would be interested in attending that particular performance for accessibility, we'll have that available.
That's awesome.
Saturday, we have a matinee at 2:30 and then an evening performance at 7:30. That's on the 28th. And then we're going to wrap it up on the 29th on Sunday with a 2:30 matinee.
Awesome, awesome. And our listeners and viewers can always go to to the website to Florida School of the Arts and look under the calendar to see those show dates as well. Now I do have a question as far as tickets. How does that process work if anybody is interested in purchasing a ticket?
So if you want to purchase your tickets, the easiest way, I think, is to go to our website at sjrstate.edu/flowarts, FLOARTS. There you can see our events page and link to the Thrasher Horns website to purchase your tickets. You can go directly to Thrasher Horns website. That's T as in tickets, H as in have to get them today, center.org. But if you are an SJR student or a faculty or staff member, then your admission is free. And to get your free ticket, you want to call the box office at 904-276-6815. Extension 1 will take you to the ticket office, and they can take your information and reserve that ticket for you.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now we got all that out of the way. We know what days the show is going to be on, what time, how to look on the calendar, and how to get that ticket. We're going to move on over to Ryan, our director of the show, and just tell us about the show, about directing the show. If you have any favorite parts, anything that you think we should know about.
Yeah. So this show, like Dean Schaefer mentioned, is a classic story of Orpheus and Eurydice, which is a Greek original Greek myth. But the myth usually, in most retellings of it, there's a popular musical called Hadestown that is also the story of Eurydice and Orpheus. But most of the stories are told from Orpheus's point of view. Once Eurydice passes into the underworld, it's like about him trying to get back to her. And Sarah Rule, the playwright, she flips it. And this time we see it through Eurydice's eyes and her journey through the underworld, where she does explore love and memory and losing those memories and love. Yeah, and with modern, and the other thing that I think is interesting, it's with the modern twist to it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
even though it is this Greek myth and with these ancient characters that we all know, it's told in a very modern way. The language, to me, and part of the reason it stood out to me as a show is that it's just a beautiful story. It flows so well. It's only 75 minutes and you blink and it's over.
Oh, wow.
But it's one of those that because the cast has done such a good job of bonding and really taking ownership of it, I think that's what's going to make this show very, very special. I told them the other night, I have a student who's an assistant director. She's a second year musical theater major, Lily Johnson. She, along with the cast, have kind of just like taken this and ran with it. I kind of really feel like I am just like literally guiding them and directing them in the right choices. And that's something I encourage in my process is this collaboration, especially in such an ensemble-based show where a lot of people are on and off stage together and all at the same time. And we have to create these two different worlds. And you can't do that unless your cast and your ensemble take ownership. So. Yeah,
definitely. Now, is there what is the process for picking the cast? Is it, I'm pretty sure there's an audition. So was it hard to pick, like, this person for this role, this person for that role?
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into casting, a lot that our students don't even recognize. When we're here in educational theater, not only were we casting Eurydice, we were casting our next show, the Rocky Horror Show, which is going to be on the Palaca campus. A little plug for that in October. So those two shows were auditioning at the same time.
Okay.
We encourage the acting majors to audition for the musicals and the musical theater majors to audition for the plays and vice versa, and the dance shows. Because the more that they audition, the better. I teach audition techniques, and I always tell them, I was like, auditioning is your job. Like, that is like what you do.
Yep.
And every once in a while you'll get a paid vacation and then you don't have to do it. Right. And you can do your show. And that's the way like I look at it. So we encourage them to audition for everything. So not only are we considering who's best in Eurydice, who's best in Rocky. Sometimes when it comes to educational theater, we're also looking at the student too. And trying to figure out what role or roles can help this student grow to achieve their goal. So it is a little bit different than like when I do professional shows or cast professionally. But here it's all of those combinations. Who's the best for the role? Who can grow from this role? What role will they
Right.
grow? Because multiple people in both Rocky and Eurydice were considered for both shows. But we had to
Oh,
sit down and
wow.
figure out what is best for the student because that's ultimately who we're here to serve, is the student, and make sure that they're going to get an experience that enhances their artistic ability. So it was hard. Um, there's never enough roles. There's never enough
Right.
roles, and then it's and then I got and I teach all the first years, so I don't get to avoid any of them after the cast list come out. So it's always a little hard. But I always tell them that like for me as a director and a professor, I learn a lot more about them when they don't get what they want. Um,
Oh, yeah.
than when they do get what they want.
Right.
And I think that's true in life and anybody. Like whoever has the and I told him I was like, there's so many other things going on it than like who's the best actor. You can't beat yourself up over it.
Right.
Because in this business, unfortunately, you're going to get a lot more no's than you are yes.
Yeah,
Um, so
definitely.
it's how you deal with those no's and how you improve on those no's that are more important than the no or the yes itself.
Definitely. What I think I hear is that the program is creating like a well-rounded student or actor or whatever field they're going into, because there's a lot of different, I mean, we go to school to learn, but then there's a lot of life lessons that we learn. There's a lot of tools that we use on the next part of our journey. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
That
And
students.
one of our like especially for some of the musical theater students that are in this, right? They a lot of them went to this thing called Open Jar in New York. It's basically
Right.
like
I've heard a lot about that.
yeah, it's like basically a musical theater summer camp intensive for college students,
Hmm.
um, which is great. And for the acting faculty, the MT students came back and they were like, "We realized like how important acting is and being a triple threat." And
Yeah.
so that actually encouraged a lot of them to not only like take the play's audition seriously, but then if they were cast in the play and not Rocky, be like, "Hey, like this is my chance to
Right.
really focus on my acting and
Right.
really hone in on this skill that my peers have just come back from New York. And even though like us professors tell it to them until they're blue in the face, it's different when it comes from your peers. And from another professional who also tells them the same thing you did.
Yeah.
But they come back and they're like, this is important. And we're like, yes.
Yes.
So I've seen, we have multiple musical theater majors. That's about half the cast um, is a musical theater major, and they have taken this opportunity and ran with it to hone in on their acting, really focus on that side um, of that triple threat. Because I told them, I was like, once you get out of here, like my friends, you all of you can sing. It's like all y'all can sing.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing that is a requirement. Not everybody can act, and not everybody can dance. I was
Right.
like, um, so yeah, awesome.
Definitely. Well, we are gonna pick Miss Tiffany's brain a little bit and talk costume and so you're also responsible for the props and like the stage setup. Is that correct?
So for this one, there are a few costume props,
Okay.
and then a few things I volunteered to help Tim Castell, the set designer, with. There are going to be some sculptural umbrella elements added as you walk into the theater. And I was brought onto that because they have crystals attached to them. So it's like, obviously, I'm going to be
Oh.
working on that. But for this one, mostly just costume pieces and then any costume props like an umbrella or a bag or things like that. So Tim Castell takes care of most like the hand props, and then Chandler Crocio is the lighting designer for the show.
Now, are you like creating the costumes from scratch, or do you have like kind of like a little, I don't know how you say, a dummy maybe, and then you add pieces to it, or are you creating from scratch?
A lot of them, because this has been a show of mine that I've wanted to design for a long time. So a lot of the pieces we're building just from the designs that I worked on over the summer with Ryan and the team. And then there are other stuff like men's suiting and stuff like that for like the father, or for Lord of the Underworld, where we can purchase some of those pieces and then alter to fit.
Okay.
And then we're also like for the stones, I wanted to do something new and conceptual with the way that their look is put together. So they have a couple different things that we bought, and then some things that the students have built, and then we're also making masks for them, and they have body cages that they're gonna house their little instruments that they're gonna use.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so it's like a modernized kind of interesting take on the stone idea for those costumes.
Well, we definitely should have had you bring this cage, body cage, because that sounds so interesting. Now I'm like, I need to see that.
You have to come see it now.
I know, I know. Like,
So.
so when you're creating the costumes, of course, you have students that are assisting you as well. And so, what is your process, and what is their process in the making of these costumes and different things?
So for this one, we started the designs kind of over the summer as a design team with Ryan. And then from there, first day back, we met with all of our costuming majors and then all of our work study students, all of our production lab students, and kind of broke up who's going to build what, who's going to make what. And so they're given deadlines, they're given their materials, their technical drawings on how to put things together. And then we have benchmark meetings where we say, hey, by this day, you have to have this ready to try on. I have my costume student Shira right now is working on a suit jacket for Orpheus. And so she knows that I'd like to fit that on Wednesday or Thursday. So just to get that put together. Because the costume majors have a little bit more experience, they're given builds that they can build from rendering to finish. Whereas I have work study students that come in, and maybe not all of those people know how to sew, but they can help with the mask making upstairs, because it's like a fun costume prop thing to put together. And so I try to give the students as many opportunities as I can.
Right.
There is a lot to do always on every show. So myself and Courtney, who work in the costume shop, are building the dresses, the wedding dresses, because they're a little bit more complex. Also mine is distressed. I'm gonna burn some holes in it and water distress it and damage it. And that's something fun for me. So I'm gonna do that, take care of that. But then the students will help with that. So it'll get to a certain finish point and they can sew the hem in the bottom or they can sew the label in. And so they all feel like they're involved in the
They're
build of it.
involved.
It's gonna make it feel important to them too.
Now, do you know, you may know and you may not know, like how many hours have you dedicated to the costumes?
Um,
From summer to now?
I don't know, probably a lot, but for me, it's like, I always tell my students, we don't have to, we get to. And so there is an amount of hours associated with it. Obviously, I have production lab, which is like 3 hours every day of like set time where I'm in the shop. And then it could be little stuff. Like I could be at home watching Housewives and I'm on Pinterest. And I'm like, ooh, that would be like a really cool treatment for this mask. So like when I'm in
Right.
like the world of the show, it's kind of just like all the time. Or I'll just like start to fade away and be thinking of something. And I'm like, I know how I can attach that cage to the stone's body. And then it's like back into like teaching my class. So it's just kind of like all the time, but I love it, so I don't really mind how long it takes.
Now, for this show, do you have a favorite costume or mask or piece?
I think for this one, I think her pre-distressed beginning of the show wedding dress
Wedding,
is one
okay.
that I've had the design of that saved for a long time.
Long
It's kind of
time.
one of my dream dresses to make, so I'm pretty
Oh,
excited for that one. It has a
so,
couple little surprises in it too for the audience. So when we're
oh,
close to it, you'll be like, "Ooh, look at that!" So I'm pretty
okay.
excited.
So we'll
And
definitely have to come out and check that out. What about you, Ryan? Is there a particular scene or a cast member that's your favorite?
yeah, they're all my favorite as far as the cast members. They're all my favorite.
You
But
can wink. You can wink now.
I think that my favorite moment of the show is probably very close to the end, where we act out the original Orpheus and Eurydice myth, where Orpheus has to walk back to the real world, and Eurydice is told to follow him, but Orpheus isn't supposed to turn around, and then they turn around and they look and they have this whole moment, where the curse is broke or the curse is set, and Eurydice can't go back, and we all know that she's forever stuck there now. But the reason that it's my favorite is because it's one of the few times that everybody is on the stage at the same time in this
Oh.
show, and the Stones are making the Stones, which are actors, are Greek chorus. Um, they are making music. They're really enhancing the world of the show. The other four actors are on the stage living in the world, and it's one of the main times. And I think it's the climax of the show. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but just by the time we add Tiffany's costumes and the lights and the sound, and all of the set and all of that, it's going to be the peak of like what we are doing as a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's everybody is contributing to that moment, and that moment's not going to work without everybody's contribution, from the design side to the performance side to the execution of like the moment. So I think that's probably my favorite, and I haven't even got to see it yet. I've seen it in rehearsal, right, without costumes and without the set and without the lights, but with the idea of all of these designs, because we've been in these design meetings, like Tiffany said, since the summer. So I have a very
Wow.
good idea of what it's going to look like. And I'm
Right.
very excited next week to see it all come together.
To see it all come
And
together.
yeah, and quite honestly, as a director, that's like my favorite moment is like first dress, which for us will be a week from tomorrow. Um, that's the first time we have all of the pieces together, and that's usually the first time for me where I'm like, man, like we have a show. Like here's all of these things that we've put the last 6 months into, all at the same place, all at the same time, and now we just get to tell the story. So
Definitely. And so now I do have a question. Working, Ryan, you and Tiffany working together, and this is not your first time working together on a show, is that correct?
that's correct.
Or is
We've
it?
No, this is our third show.
Okay.
As a excuse me, as a director and designer. I actually worked over the summer as an actor in one of our shows. So Tiffany was the designer for that, and so I
Okay.
worked with her as that. So it was actually very helpful because now when my cast goes through the same process, I know exactly
Right.
what they're doing and the exact steps that they're supposed to
Exactly.
take. Um,
Exactly.
but this is our third show, so now Tiffany and I are getting to the point where like I know um, what Tiffany's eye likes, and she knows what my eye likes. So as we continue to work together, I think a designer director relationship is like ever evolving. Now we're at
Right.
the point where like we'll just like text each other literally in the middle of the day and be like, "Hey, so what about this?" Where this time last year I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have
Right.
waited for like
Right.
an official meeting. Um, but yeah, so I think our relationship is getting more and more dynamic and it helps I think both of us serve the other one, because I always tell my students like in directing class, your designers are like your best friends. They're the ones that
Yeah.
help you get these ideas that you have in your head out there. So to treat them as your best friends, as your teammates, for versus some no directors that teach them or look at designers as like I'm the director and then like here's the designers. I like to think like we're all here, um,
Right.
and I talk to Tiffany like that now. So
We had a great time at the PR photo shoot also. So that was
yeah,
fun.
yeah, we did. We did. Keep an eye on the website. I think I actually just got a couple from Susan. We did an underwater photo shoot for this show for our promo shot. The first
Oh,
shot is up
wow.
on our Flow Arts Instagram and Facebook, where I got to have a first time where I took my GoPro and we went to a pool and we jumped in with the costumes that Tiffany designed, and we took some underwater pictures. And it represents the path to the underworld, the river of forgetfulness, in the play. So it was a nice, cold, rainy, swimmy day.
That's pretty cool. And those are on your on Instagram and Florida School of the Arts Instagram and Facebook page. So we'll definitely have to check those out. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in to our Virtually Viking, your go-to source for all things SJR State. We hope today's discussion about our upcoming show has sparked your interest. I'm really excited to attend the show myself so that I can see this dress that Miss Tiffany has raved about. And then I must stay for the whole show because I have to see the end of the scene where Ryan talks about the whole cast being. So if you go, people, you must stay for the whole show. You got to see the beginning, the middle, and the end. The September the 22nd, 28th, and 29th, again, go to the Florida School of the Arts website, to their events page where you can purchase tickets and get more information about showtimes. So be sure to check them out on their webpage. If you have any questions, comments, or would like more information about our programs and services, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at virtuallyviking@sjrstate.edu. We're here to help you every step of the way. Until next time, stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, go Viking.